the Neon Confidential podcast.
Is this thing on?
Ladies and gentlemen, the episode you've all been waiting for, Seth Lagana from Walls of Fitness, my trainer who whips my ass on a weekly basis, is on the Neon Confidential podcast today. Thanks for joining us, Seth. I know you had to cancel some sessions just to join us because you are so damn busy.
It's okay.
How many sessions or how many people did you train last year? I know your booking system keeps track.
5,900. So it's an average of 16 people a day.
16 people.
It's the top 1% in the country.
Really?
I didn't even know until I got that notification from them. Then they send me all these weird awards and stuff like that.
So do you think, I mean, you're the busiest trainer in Vegas probably.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's insane. 16
there's
people a day.
There's a difference between being the busiest trainer and being the most profitable trainer. So making the most money. And I know there's other trainers in town that do exceedingly well. That they charge a lot more than I do. But
why don't you charge more?
Accessibility. Like I don't want to isolate or alienate anybody. You know, I want people to come in and there be some opportunity to do group fitness, or I call it group private. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can afford $1,200, $1,400 a month. You know, and most of my major transformations have come from people that are on a budget, and that's kind of the rewarding part of this. I didn't get into this for money. I left a CEO position to do this, and I just love it. I love it.
So a few things. Can you talk about, because like definitely being in Vegas, there's fitness like influencers and fitness trainers and people that definitely post like the best of the best results, because that's what people want to watch, is like hot people working out, right? But like as a trainer, I feel like you especially, I mean, I just pay attention to the people in Vegas, but I feel like you post like the before and afters from people who like literally started like at their heaviest, mm-hmm. and then they're just like the most fit they've ever been. So do you use that as like a strategy, or like why do you like to do that?
Transformations are always going to sell. That's the biggest part of the job, and I try to do that as much as I can. You know, just depends on the client's discipline, and I can't teach discipline. That's something that they have to have. I always say this, I wish I could go home and just slap food out of people's faces, but I can't. So it's hard to get a transformation. They're tough. So when you do it, it's important to document it all. And that's one thing I do a lot. I document everything I can. And I don't want to leave anybody out too. I notice a lot of trainers in town, they only take videos of their hot clients, you know.
Or their clients that have like a bunch of Instagram followers.
Yeah. And I don't want to do that. Everybody gets some notoriety. Everyone gets noticed every day. I don't try to leave anybody out. If I do, I'll even apologize. I'll be like, hey, I didn't get a video of you today. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks like the heart out of it too. Like if you notice that people are only training people who are like look like they're already fit, like that kind of intimidates people who like just want to know if they can start.
Right. And I train everybody. I train soccer moms. I train, older men. I train pros, industry girls. I've trained professional athletes, 2 world champions now, Leon Edwards and Alex Volkanovski, which I had the pleasure of training, which was amazing. Casey O'Neill, who's a professional UFC fighter. She's actually got a fight this weekend. I think it's this weekend.
Yeah, I've trained at the gym when you've been training her. I'm trying to remember how I found you, but I definitely feel like I saw some of your workouts on Instagram and it just like looked like they were more geared toward like athletes.
Yeah.
Which is what I liked.
Well, I am an athlete, so I've been playing rugby pretty much my whole life. And that's a big reason why I lift, is to get better on the field. So I kind of translated over into training. Well, there's a whole story of why I got into training, and
Yeah, I want you to go into that too. I mean, that should have been the first question that I asked, but I figured we were just going to start going off on tangents because we know each other so well. But
it's okay.
Yeah, how did you get into fitness? I don't even think I know this story.
I graduated in 2009 in like the butthole of the recession. Like I had no money to my name. I was a bartender in college and I managed that bar. It was called Keele Irish Pub. It was in Reno. And it was awesome, but I just could not stand the weather. And all of my friends who I grew up with were just having a blast in Vegas, and I just missed all my friends. So
wait, what do you mean the weather in Reno?
Oh, it's it's insanely capricious. Like one day it'll be snowy, next day it'll be rainy, windy, and then it'll be like sunshine, and it's just all over the place. And it's hard to like adjust to it. It's tough, and it's so cold at times. So like
kind of like how Vegas has been the last like month, but anyway.
But it hasn't. It's nowhere near as bad as Reno. Anybody who's lived in Reno will attest to this. It's just it's bone chilling cold, like all the way through spring. It'll be cold, and it's just going through these harsh springs in Reno and just seeing all my friends just having so much fun. I wanted to leave, and then I also went to my first Coachella ever. And all my friends went, and I didn't have a lot of friends in Reno because I just worked so much. And it just like, I don't know, I just had to get out of there. I had no social life, and I feel like I was just missing out on life. So I graduate from UNR, and I go down to Vegas, and I don't know what the hell to do, like at all. And at the time, I was extremely fit, like super fit. I ran a lot, and I played rugby in college for the Zephyrs in Reno. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just started training my friends, like at LVAC. And then the people at LVC were like, no, you need to get certified to do this. So I got my certification, AFAA.
Like they could tell that you weren't just like their gym buddy. Like you were like full on, like not working out.
I tried.
And training them.
I tried to hide it as much as I can. I was like, and then try to, work out with every single one. But it got to the point where I was like training like 7 people a day. I was there all day. They kind of knew what I was doing. So I kind of started because I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I was just good at it. I was just really good at it. And then I started a couple companies, and I kind of stopped doing it. And then when my companies became really difficult for me to like, I don't know, it just became super stressful. And you're an entrepreneur. The stress was just too overwhelming, and I had to give it up. And I went back to training, and I've been doing it ever since. I love it. I was built for it. I'm actually doing better as a trainer than I was when I was a CEO. So that's kind of why I started, but I mostly started it because I was just broke in 2009 coming out of college.
But that's the point that like more people should do that, is like follow their passions. Like you were already like, that's what I tell people that, just don't really have a career path I'm like, what did you like to do when you were younger? And for you, that was probably rugby and sports.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like creative writing, and now I own a PR agency. And so,
what's funny is I got a degree in creative writing at UNR.
Well, we've nerded out on that stuff before. Yeah. I think there was like, what book was it that was on my like coffee table, and you picked it up, and like I didn't expect anyone else to know of the author, and you're like, I can't believe you like read this.
Is it Agatha Christie?
No. Doesn't she write murder mysteries?
Yeah. She's like noir books.
It doesn't matter. I'll get stuck on that.
Okay.
But there was like some like very strange book that like anybody wouldn't have, or most people wouldn't have known this author.
I mean, other than your PR stuff, are you writing at all anymore?
God dang it. Why are you interviewing me?
I got the hard questions.
What's interesting is like I also haven't really been reading a lot, but like but now I have, and what I find is that when I read, that inspires my like creative writing more.
Right.
So it's like I almost can't do do one without the other, because I'll start reading, and then if I try to go to sleep because I'm like reading at night, I'll literally just shoot up in bed and have this like thought about whatever I was reading, but it's my own sort of like segue, and I'll kind of just jot it down in my notes. But it's like sort of. Yeah,
I haven't since college, and I feel like I'm missing out on something. I was so good at it. I had some stuff published when I was in college.
I remember you saying that.
And just like rereading some of that stuff, I'm like, I can't believe I fucking wrote that.
Like, yeah, that came out of my brain.
Yeah.
I do that. I do that sometimes. I think that's
so. My dad was dead broke when I was going to school, and the only way I got through school was these writing scholarships, and they paid pretty much for everything, and I got so many of them when I was in school, just like dumb things like write about Nevada or write about your family and stuff like that. And I would submit into these journals, and they would send me scholarship money. I did it for years when I was in school, and that was awesome. The only way I could really pay for college. But yeah, I haven't done it. I should do it. I don't know why everyone tells me I should. I
wonder if like is training, because you know how like creative is right brained. Like being creative is your right brain, and then like being charts and graphs and stuff is your left brain. Like is training like left or right brain? I feel like you have to be kind of creative to like know workouts.
It's probably a little bit of both.
But yeah, but it's like scientific and technical, and there's like numbers and.
Well, the thing about modern training right now is people want to do all these different new workouts, and the science will show you that the compounds and like the regular workouts and being monotonous and repetition is really how you make the most progress. So it's like taking 6 basic workouts and really doing them every week until you get better and better and better at them. It's called progressive overload. And so when you start adding all these different workouts in that you can't necessarily add progressive overload, it disrupts your progress big time. So if you see these trainers online with all these wacky workouts, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's as functional or as beneficial as people think.
So I was going to save this question for later, but since we're talking about this, because you and I were talking, I asked you about cold plunge specifically.
Yeah,
because I was kind of like getting into, so I just keep hearing everyone talking about cold plunges, and I tried the Wim Hof method because like a few people that like I've referred that you currently train, are into that stuff. And I'm like, well, there's, I look up to those people and I think that they like have good heads on their shoulders. And so I started doing the Wim Hof method. So you like set the timer on your phone and you like take a cold shower. And like, I did it for 3 weeks and I was like, I am fucking miserable. Like, this is not fun. I don't see any results from this. I don't even know why I'm doing this. All I can feel is that like I am shocking my nervous system. And to me, it's like I'm so stressed in a cold environment like that I'm like, my cortisol has got to be like way through the roof. I'm like, this can't be good for me.
Well, I think there's a psychological aspect to this that people think it's beneficial. It's overcoming like duress. Right? Putting yourself through duress. I do that on a daily basis.
Why the fuck do I want to do that when I'm trying to have a nice shower and go to bed?
Well, these are the claims that why it benefits people. And other than like the physiological benefits, I mean, there's a lot of studies that show like putting yourself in cold and then heat is beneficial. But there's also studies that show that getting into a cold water after working out is detrimental to your hypertrophy. So
like muscle growth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to pull up like the exact message that you sent on Instagram. We were talking about this back and forth because I was like, you literally just shut that shit down to me. And it was like everything how I felt about cold plunge and you like said it. So I'm going to read it exactly. Okay, here is how this conversation went, y'all. I said, what do you think about cold showers and plunges and all this shocking your system shit? You said, I think if you did a study comparing cold plunges to eating properly and getting adequate sleep, there would be no comparison. I'm sure there are some benefits to cold plunging and cold immersion, but nothing beats diet, sleep, and hydration for overall health. In 15 years of training, I can tell you that most people struggle with those 3 things, which I feel like that knocked out of the park. But then you said, I think the science shows that cold plunge can help, but it's not as much as people think. Also, that study that Huberman is talking about includes heat exposure too, which like I feel like people just read the parts that support their argument.
Exactly,
in any instance. Okay, so I'm going to keep
They
going.
just read the abstract. Yeah.
You said it was done by Susanna Soberg.
Soberg, yeah.
She did cold immersion and immediately after she did heat exposure. My question is, who has access to all of this shit?
Yeah, right.
And this is a slight like segue, but like totally related. I can't stand how people are like hypocritical about what people spend their money on. My ex-boyfriend was talking about how I have a Restoration Hardware couch and it was like $10,000. First of all, the reason why I bought that couch is because I ordered 3 couches online and like they showed up and they were like not the right size because like it's probably me, like I can't really measure, I'm like not into math. Or it like wasn't the right color. So what I did was I went and got fucking hammered at Echo and Rig during brunch, and I was talking about how frustrated I was that I had nowhere to sit down in my house, in my new house. So what do? Like Restoration Hardware is right there. I didn't even look around the store. I went right up to the model couch. I pointed at it and I handed the lady my credit card and I was like, I'm going to bend over and take it. Like,
baller.
And that was it. But also
but
like
you can do stuff like that. So that's awesome.
Sort of, but like I knew it was an investment then. I got the couch in 2017. It's 2023. Don't regret it at all. My point is that like while I'm intercepting this like hypocritical bullshit from my ex, he's like, your couch is $10,000. We're not compatible. I'm like, motherfucker, you have a $4,000 espresso machine.
What?
Like,
Does he even make it all the time? Does he even use it? I knew it.
I use the couch every night.
You're gonna get so much more out of the couch, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. As it was. You said
we can both agree that we don't like that guy.
This was to me like the mic drop. You said, and now you have all these American people buying umpteen bags of ice to make cold plunges and super expensive cold tubs. Meanwhile, people are experiencing drought in other countries. The eco footprint seems a bit steep for minimal benefits, don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm like, I do fucking think.
It's like all these dumbass people. They're like, I'm gonna go buy 10 bags of ice, and then like fucking some kid in Congo is like, can I just get some ice?
Can I just get some water to make
3
the
ice cubes?
They want right. Like
it's just a weird fad that is unnecessary. That it's just taking off, and I get it. There are so many different things you can do to benefit and help with muscle growth and longevity, and like there's so many different supplements you can take. But if you can't get the basic shit down, you know, the eating right, the hydration, and the sleep, it's just like, what the fuck is the point? Like, finish those 3 first, you know, before you start buying 20 bags of ice and filling your tub up. Like, I don't know. I think it's funny. Most of the trainers that I know feel the same way. They do. They all feel the same way.
Because I feel like when I was an athlete, like in high school, we had to take like ice baths afterward, and like I don't know, I just don't feel like it really did anything.
Well, it does help with reducing inflammation. There are studies that show that, but the whole concept of icing injuries to help them speed up recovery actually is not true. The guy that, okay, I don't know if you can look this up, but the guy that originally made this claim, he came out and he like redacted it. Like, he said, I wasn't actually correct, but people are still doing it. Even though the guy who originally, I can't remember his name, he originally was the one that claimed, hey, if you ice injuries, it'll speed up the recovery. And then he came out recently and was like, that's actually not true. So you shouldn't do that. So, but people still doing it. You see LeBron James on the side of the court using ice to, you know, help with his knees and stuff like that. It's active recovery is always going to be your best bet, you know. There's some other things you can do working on your mobility and strength training that'll help you with recovery too. But
people aren't even doing it for injuries, though, is my point.
No.
Like, for inflammation, totally.
Loss. They think it's for fat loss.
Right.
And it's the fat loss that comes from it, I think, is extremely minuscule. And then you also see people like in Russia who use it to help with their immune system. So they claim that it helps with your immune system, just being exposed to that type of environment. I don't know what the science says on that, but they do that a lot too.
Yeah, probably because they're out there like fucking ice fishing and shit. Like, we don't have to do that. We don't have to like prep our bodies to like be in sub-zero temperatures.
And then I want to know, how did this start? That he's like, some guy's just ice fishing and he just fell in. He's like, I'm not cold. Like, it's like, I didn't get a head cold for 6 months. Right. I'm going to jump back in the lake. Okay,
so you would say like the 3 pillars of fitness are what? Sleep, hydration, and good diet.
Yeah.
And so
sleep is, they're finding out new studies right now, sleep is the biggest performance enhancing drug you can take.
Yeah.
Like the biggest one.
So I'm going to tell a little story.
Oh, the sleep apnea story?
Yeah. So I was like super, and I get most people who are like also athletes super jazzed on like the Whoop. It's wearable technology. Right. It tracks your like recovery, your workouts, your CRV, which is your cardiovascular, what is it? Something. It doesn't matter. Like it's like gives you a recovery score every day. Right. And sleep is a huge part of that. So this is like for everyone else who's listening. I got Seth all jazzed on this Whoop, and like every time he'd ordered it, and it was like these Whoops got, and I've been wearing mine for like 3 years now, but like they got so popular that they were back ordered because they just come out with the 4.0. And you like every time I'd come in, you're like 12 more weeks, 10 more weeks, like you're like so stoked to get this Whoop. Then he gets the Whoop, and I come in, and he's like so fucking bummed out. Like, I'm like, what's wrong? And you're like, it's just like, mine's not working. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not working?
Dude, my recovery was at like 10-12% every day.
Every single day. So I said to you, because one time, and this is the time we were talking about like off air, you passed out at my house,
Yeah.
and Xena literally thought you were dying because, and I didn't know that you had sleep apnea.
Yeah,
so it's like the walls are shaking.
out.
You sound like you're dying. I've never experienced anything like that. I'm like, oh my god, Xena's like pawing at you. Like
she was on
like,
top of me. I looked up, and she's got her paws on my forehead.
And so let me just explain to someone like what it sounds like if you're not familiar with someone who has sleep apnea. And you correct me if I'm wrong. It's basically like if your body, you obviously are sleeping when you breathe, and it's like an unconscious thing. It's like the one thing that everyone has in common that you don't think about.
Right.
And so you, like, what is that? You just can't breathe?
I can't breathe. Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why I can't breathe. I've broken my nose a couple of times playing rugby. A couple other reasons why.
Don't make yourself sound more macho, okay? This sounds like fucking insane.
No, it's just my nasal passageways are just kind of screwed up. I still have tonsils, and like my nose is really shitty, but you can tell from me talking I'm a little congested always.
Well, and also this weather sucks because I am too. But so anyway, there he is, like about to like die, and it's like once you miss breaths like that, your body like your organs are trying to do their thing and like fill your lungs up with air, so you're literally gasping for air, and it sounds like you're in like a state of like just distress.
Right.
So I was telling him that like the Whoop isn't working because like you need to like get this fixed, you know? So then explain to people, I mean, this part like is not funny because this is probably like in our friendship the most scared that I've ever been.
Well, I got COVID for the third time, and I think athletes are very vulnerable to getting COVID. And the reason why is because you are training so much, you put your immune system in a vulnerable state. So the time I was like training twice a day, and I was getting ready for Mount Everest, this big climb that I was going to do with my buddy Sammy. And it wasn't like the worst COVID I had out of the three, but it kept me up at night, and I couldn't sleep because it was kind of hard for me to breathe.
Yeah.
And my dumbass didn't think like I should wear my CPAP. I was just like watching HBO and like doing stupid shit to stay up. And to be honest with you, I work so much, getting a week off because I had COVID was kind of like nice. It was, I can stay up, I can just chill out because I'm just so busy.
That's so fucked up that like COVID is like something you look forward to, so you can just
so I can just
take
relax and just be with my dog, you know, because I don't get to spend too much time with him. So it got progressively worse, and then for some reason it got okay, and then the Saturday and Sunday I felt okay, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to work because it's been over like a week and a half. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to work, and then around like 12 midnight, I couldn't breathe. I started coughing up blood. I was getting hypoxia, where your lungs filled up with blood and water, and it got so progressively bad. Like I didn't even have time to call the ambulance. I had to rush to the hospital.
Like you drove yourself?
I drove myself, and while I was on the truck, I was like coughing up blood, and I can tell that it was getting worse and worse and worse. So by the time I got to the hospital, my oxygen absorption rate was below 82, and anything below 96, you're dying. So I was dying. I was basically dying. And there was a point where I was asking the doctor, like in between breaths, if I was going to survive, and he said, "I don't know. We don't know yet." And it was just one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. And a lot of the reason why sleep apnea was the main cause of it, you know, and I have had a CPAP for a long time. I just wasn't paying attention to it, you know. And the doctor, he told me that people who have sleep apnea are 140% more likely to get heart failure. And I had no idea. I didn't know. Had I known then, I would have taken care of it a lot more. But
by like wearing your CPAP. So
CPAP
basically,
every day,
and why that is because a CPAP machine causes or forces oxygen to get into your body, right?
Yeah.
And so basically, when you're sleeping at night, your brain and heart and lungs are not getting oxygen.
It also affects your rhythm of your heartbeat a lot. And that's the main problem, is when you're gasping for air every night, it fucks your heart rate up, your heartbeat.
For sure.
So it was a scary time, but something that helped change my life in a positive way, you know. And then like 4 months later, I ended up hiking Mount Everest, which is crazy.
That is nuts.
And I think doing Mount Everest helped a lot. I haven't had any issues since. I use my CPAP every day. I have a cardiologist, and she says that I'm completely fine now, you know, so I'm doing okay.
Weren't you? How long were you in the hospital for?
Over a week? Like,
yeah, that was so scary. Like, I just remember texting you and like you weren't responding, and I was like, what? Like, I just knew there was something that was wrong.
And I honestly, I didn't want anyone to see me in that state. You know, it was just tough. And then originally they thought I still had COVID, so they weren't letting anybody come in to see me. It was tough. It was hard, but I got through it, and it made me realize how amazing life is, and it made me realize like I need to work on certain things. I'm not as healthy as I think I am, you know. And it made me help a lot of my other friends go get their hearts checked, and they found out they had issues that they didn't know about, and they were extremely healthy too. So it was just like an eye-opening experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, it sucks going through something like either like a near-death experience on, you know, for yourself, which is obviously traumatic, or like grief if you are close to someone who passes away, and it's like an unfortunate way that you're able to help people, but
right.
but unfortunately that's, you know, you kind of, people that can't relate, you're all they've got, and so like that is a positive. So
yeah, and one of my friends, his name's Will, he was going through heart failure at the same time. It was weird, but he had it way worse. He had to get surgery, he had to wear this monitor to monitor him, and he's got kids, and it was really bad for him. He was on the brink for sure, but even he's recovering, so we're kind of like, you know, share that experience together. And
so now
scary,
you guys
man.
both need to get Whoop straps.
Yeah, I had my old Whoop strap, and I'm considering putting it on again now because I need to see what my recovery is like with the CPAP. I'm kind of interested to see that. But I kind of put it down because I felt so defeated because every day it was like 13 minutes. And, you know, I felt like my recovery was shit too. It's a lot better now just based on my performance in the gym.
You look better.
Yeah.
Like, it's like your face. It's not, you're always like jacked.
Yeah, I'm telling you, sleep is important. It's super important.
Totally.
And it's something I just never thought of. Like, I never took naps before, and naps are super important.
I wish I could nap.
I think it's one of the secrets of longevity. Naps,
right? Like taking a little siesta.
Yeah,
we should bring that to the American culture.
And cold plunge too.
Are there any other fads that you think are like just ridiculous in the fitness industry that we should cover?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Let's go over. You know, the skinny teas are really silly. Group fitness is just a maintenance, really. So people who just go to do group fitness, you know, it's kind of tough to get your body to look the way you want it to look. It's just like weight loss stuff. There's a lot of weird, silly fads.
Well, I actually talk about that. So like, I feel like with strength training, and I guess I could probably put myself into this bucket too, because like I went to train with you because I saw you doing, and I'm not afraid of weight. Like I know that you know that I can like lift a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think what happens is a lot of women who are like killing themselves doing these like cardio group fitness classes, trying to make themselves like skinny. But what they don't realize is like by incorporating strength training into your workouts,
right,
that you burn more fat that way. So you can be way more scientific than me. But
this is why I think Omalta's group fitness classes are so amazing, because we have access to the whole gym. So you'll have like a group of like 15 to 20 people, and we can do whatever we want in there. Whereas some of these studios, these group fitness classes, you're kind of limited to like maybe just a reformer, or, you know, you just have a kettlebell and like, you know, tension bands and stuff like that. But at Omalta, you have a lot of access to different compound lifts and stuff like that. And the reason why you're able to stay in such good shape is because you're strong, you know? And so,
yeah, like how much do genetics play a part in that stuff? I think like I want to like go from the basics, like say things that everybody really.
Yes,
I felt like genetics like have a lot to do with it.
So my legs were tiny back in the day because I swear to God.
Way.
So
we need to see your before and afters.
So after I got out of college, I was running a lot and I was rock climbing a lot, and I dated a girl who was pescatarian. For some dumb reason, I started becoming pescatarian, even though I don't even like eating fish. So
you also cut your mullet off for a girl, so I won't hear this nonsense.
So I cut my mullet off for Everest.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I thought it was for a girl.
No,
or maybe you said you were going to.
I was just
and I was
joke.
like,
never.
Don't you fucking anyway.
No, that was a joke. So where were we?
We were talking about like we were talking about strength training.
Genetics. So my legs used to be tiny. I got down to like 160, 168. And if you had known me back then, my legs were super, super small.
What?
Like very small. Yeah. Because I stopped strength training altogether and I was just rock climbing and I was barely eating anything because I don't like fish and I was a pescatarian. so I was just constantly in a calorie deficit and I just got super tiny, like really, really tiny. And then when I started playing rugby again, I started playing as a wing, which is demoralizing because wing is like, I don't know, it's like what beginners play. And I just hated it. So I started beefing up and eating and getting back into shape and lifting.
Now you're a what? You told me.
Oh, what?
That position.
A flanker. Why do they call that bar a flanker?
I don't know. I got to ask Sean Christie.
It's kind of a term you use in football.
Yeah, right. It's a sports bar. That makes sense.
Okay, but not a lot of people use that word in football, a flanker.
Maybe he's a rugby fan. Who knows?
Maybe. That's cool.
Okay, so.
Genetics. So you can reverse genetics. Like you through a lot of conditioning, a lot of repetition, a lot of training. Like you're not predisposed to your genetic makeup. Like even if your parents are super fat, like you can train hard enough to run away from your genetic predisposition.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like, I do feel like, wouldn't you say if you're like athletic that you are more predisposed if your parents were athletic to like have better like muscle, I don't know, definition, placement?
Yeah, but when you hear like a kid who grows up as an athlete, you know, and his parents are athletic, there's no like placing blame on him to change. You know, he's like fortunate enough to be an athlete. But the thing that I hear a lot is when you come from a heavy family, you know, and then you're heavy yourself, your big excuse is like, well, I come from a heavy family.
Right.
It's like, well, I mean, you can reverse that. You just gotta train hard. You can do it. I've seen. The biggest transformation I ever saw was this guy, KK. He lost 160 pounds in 6 months.
Jesus.
And the way he did it is he did 1 day of eating and 1 day off. So 1 day on, 1 day off. So fasting. And we can get into fasting.
Yeah. How do you feel about, I feel like fasting is also could be considered a fad.
Well, everyone does it. When you fall asleep, you fast. You know, that's
true.
why they call it breakfast. So everyone does it. All it is just calorie reduction. If you're not eating at a certain amount of time, you just have a window of time when you're eating. So it's basic math. It's just calorie restriction.
I thought it was also like, doesn't it have to do with like your gut microbiome too, and just giving your body like a break from digestion? Because isn't digestion one of the hardest things your body goes through? I was just
talking to Liz. Shout out to Liz Steers. She's a Pilates instructor at True Fusion. She's amazing. But we were just talking about this, that she had a trainer. I don't want to name his name because I think he failed miserably with her. But
cool.
I won't say his name.
Okay.
But he had her taking a shit ton of supplements. Like she had to wake up an hour early just to take all these supplements that he told her to take. She spent all of her day, like her entire kidneys worth of a day, just trying to digest. And at a certain point, I think it can be detrimental, you know. I think the less is better for that. So
what are like 3 supplements that you feel like you take every day that other people should take?
So a lot of vitamins and nutrients you can get from your food.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest mistake people make is like if they need to get vitamin C and vitamin D and like all this stuff through supplements. No, get all that from your food. Get it from the
Vegetables.
sun. That's super important. If you're eating the right foods, you don't have to take a lot of this stuff. I love taking liver pills. It's basically like organ meat that's desiccated. I like liver pills, and since my heart failure, I've been taking heart pills, which is basically bovine heart, desiccated bovine heart pills. So
which
I
is
take
cow
those
heart.
for person. Yes, cow.
Bovine's a cow.
Bovine, yeehaw.
But what
both
about
of our
like
families are from Texas. So
yeah,
that's another.
That's
a digression.
Yeah, if we start drinking, sometimes it comes out. But what about fish oil? Like I take fish oil every day because I heard that like it's very good for your heart, and that's like a non-negotiable. Like, you're supposed to take fish oil. I thought you fucking told me that.
Fish oil is good. I mean, a big reason why people take certain supplements is because they're responding to something that's wrong with their body. Mm-hmm. You know, but if you're eating an adequate amount of good food, nutrient-dense foods, I don't think you really need all that stuff. How
much protein do you think that people should be consuming on a daily basis?
So they just did a study on this, and in order to maintain, you take your body weight in kilos. So whatever your body weight is divided by 2.2, right? And then you time that by 1.6, and that's how you get it. So like, we can do yours right now if you want.
Okay, good. 130 pounds.
130 pounds divided by 2.2 times 1.6. So you need 94 grams of protein a day to maintain the muscle mass that you have currently.
I exceed that.
You exceed that. That's good. That's good.
With that app, my macro tracker app.
Okay.
G plans. Let's see how many.
A lot of people say 1 gram per pound. So if you weigh 130, it's 130 grams of protein. That's to build muscle.
Let me see what I did yesterday. Yesterday I had 93 grams of protein. So
you're
wait,
just
is that
under.
what you said?
Yeah, you're just under. Yours is 94, I believe. You said 130.
But then the day before that I did 105 grams. And the day before that I did 138 grams.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
Well,
I can't be,
progress is never linear, you know.
Right, but I can't be like ruining what you build in the gym.
Well, it's losing muscle. That's tough. That's a whole nother argument too about this. This is why these group fitness classes are tough, because like you get a heated class, like a heated Pilates class, and you're spending the whole class just doing athletic conditioning, and you're not doing any strength training, and you're putting yourself in a horrible environment where you can't even perform optimally. You're sweating, you're hot, you're getting out of breath super fast, and it goes against everything that's positive about strength training. It's literally just you are burning calories and you are sweating, and it's just cardio, right? It's basically just cardio.
So then talk about, because I feel like that is a fad too. And like, first of all,
huge fad.
The only reason I don't, well, there's a few. I think I've always felt like the same way that like, I don't like extremes. I don't want to do a fucking cold plunge, and I don't want to do a hot Pilates class.
Yeah.
I don't like extremes like in life or in general, but especially during a workout. So like one time I told my girlfriend, Rebecca, I was like, she asked me to go to True Fusion, and I was like, yeah, but I don't want to do a hot Pilates class. So I show up and like walk into a room, because I don't know what like workout class she's booked me. It's the first time I've been there, and the room is like steaming. 70 something degrees. And I'm like looking at her, and I was like, I said I didn't want to do a hot Pilates class. She's like, it's hot yoga. I'm like, fuck.
Oh my God.
I meant temperature,
like, and
dude.
hot yoga is just as hard, maybe
it's
even
horrible.
harder.
And there's like people, their like sweat is just dripping. Like this guy like flung his sweat. I swear to God, like I felt it hit my body. Like it's disgusting.
Well, the thing with those classes, if you're just trying to lose weight, that's great. Right, that's great. But if you are trying to shape your body, and the word toned gets used a lot in this industry, and it's just kind of I don't know, it's kind of a loaded word for us, because getting toned really, it means getting a recomp, performing a recomp on your body, which is where you gain muscle and lose fat. And that's what all women want to do. I want to grow my ass and I want my belly to go away, and that's called a recomp. And that is extremely hard if you have already started training. In fact, most studies show that it's kind of impossible unless you're just starting out. When you're just starting out, you can get a recomp. Recomps are typical for people who are just lifting, but you have to have it.
So what if you like got fat on purpose to like recomp your body?
So that's a form of reverse diet. So a lot of what I like to do is I like to get girls either in, it depends on what their goals are. Like say for instance, you have a 110-pound petite girl, right? And she's 39% fat.
Wait,
39.
does she have a BBL or does she not have a BBL?
She doesn't have a BBL, but she's 110 pounds. Get this, because I see this a lot. She's 110 pounds, but she's 39% body fat. So what I'll have her do is I'll have her eat more. I'll have her consume about 5 meals a day, 4 to 5 meals a day. Make sure that she has to hit her maintenance calories. Absolutely has to. And then I have her in a calorie surplus. And the point is for her to gain muscle, because the reason why she has so much body fat is because she has dick for muscle. She's got no muscle at all.
Could we get a rephrase on that, please? The visualization I just got was like not appropriate.
Well, a dick doesn't have muscle in it. That's why I said that.
Got it.
And most women, if you ask them, if you ask them if a dick has muscle in it, they'll be like, yeah, and a bone. That's why they call it a boner. It's funny that most women don't even know what a penis is.
God bless them. That means they've probably never seen a flaccid dick before.
It's just skin. It fills up with muscle.
Anyway, fuck
blood.
my life.
That's why I said dick for muscle.
All right. So as what you were saying was, you make them have a calorie surplus so that they can gain muscle.
Gaining muscle is the ultimate objective, and then they'll start leaning out, and then their glutes will get bigger, and then, but if I have somebody that's like, say a woman that she's like 200 pounds, and she's smaller, but she's got a little bit more muscle, I'll probably put her in a calorie deficit, not a crazy one. See, this is where people get fucked up. It's like they'll have like 1,000 calorie deficit every day. They'll do it for like 3 weeks and be like, fuck this.
The thing that I get asked is, and I guess I'm interested in your feedback, because I guess I could probably formulate an answer to this, but I feel like as my trainer, you might be able to answer it better. People say, how do you go out and eat like you do? Like when I go to like my clients for restaurants and still look like how you look?
Because you have muscle.
Right.
Yeah. Because you have muscle.
But do you think that is from like me being an athlete from when I was younger?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to understand, you have to be in a calorie surplus, to make a muscle. So you need to eat food. Obviously, if you eat shitty food, you're going to put on some fat, but having muscle allows you to eat more food. You can eat a lot more food when you have a lot more
How
muscle.
many calories do you consume a day? As I'm like staring at your muscles.
I just did this. This is crazy. I just did it's called total daily energy expenditure. And you have to understand, I work out maybe a couple times a day. I have rugby practice throughout the week. I have a rugby game tomorrow in Arizona, and rugby games are fucking taxing. And I'm the captain of the team, and I hardly ever come out. So I play a full 80 minutes, and I'm considered kind of like a bruiser on the team. So I do a lot of rucking, I do a lot of tackling, and now that we have one of our main forwards is out, I'm gonna have to do a lot of running for this game. So
I would not ever want to be tackled, like in general, but definitely I would not want to be tackled by you.
Dude, I don't want to be tackled at all ever, but it
would
happens.
be very scary coming at someone like full force.
So 80 minutes of rugby is probably around like 2,000 calories, maybe. I've clocked in at like 8 miles of running once on one day of like playing rugby. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I did my TDE, and I think it's around like 3,700. I think it's at 3,700 calories. So I have to eat more than 3,700, or no, 39. It was 3,900 calories. I have to eat more than 3,900 calories a day to gain muscle.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
you're just constantly eating.
Constantly eating 6 to 7 meals a day. I spend about $400 a week on food.
Wait, so and then you did answer how much protein everyone should have. It's like
about a gram per pound, I think is good enough. That seems to be the toughest thing for women to do, is to eat protein. I get this all the time.
So what other sources do protein come from? Because I feel like most people, when they think about protein, they think about cows. They think about meat. That seems like protein.
The thing that's crazy is ground beef, they're finding, is super beneficial to people. That it's loaded with nutrients, because when the butcher takes the cow, it puts together all the like scraps to make ground beef. So it's like tendon and ligament and like all that stuff. And they're more nutrient dense than, say, like top sirloin or, different parts of the cow. So beef is extremely nutrient beneficial to human beings, like on a level that far exceeds any plant, any fruit, any vegetable. And that's hard for people to come to terms with because of the eco footprint of meat in the world. But it's true. And beef is just one of them. Obviously, fish is really healthy because it's so lean.
And chicken.
Chicken is really lean. The problem with beef is you get a lot of extra fat with it, so you have to be conscious of how much fat you're eating, because fat is 9 calories per gram. So if you're eating fat, you're eating a lot more calories.
And then I think another thing that women do is they want to stay away from carbs. So can you talk about, like, because I think when people think about carbs, they think bread, but that's not really
I think
true.
The biggest reason why people stay away from carbs is because of the bodybuilding industry and like the bikini, like look, what they have to do to their bodies is not natural, not normal. They have to cut all their carbs out of their body, for these shows. So when people think of like a beautiful body, they think of like these bikini competitors. But in order for them to get down to that, they have to like cut the carbs out for like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. I know Ian didn't eat carbs for like a whole month.
Like not even like sweet potatoes or oats or anything?
No, he was just eating fish and asparagus.
What do you think about that when people like, so let's talk about fitness influencers.
Okay.
And people that like do that, like, is that carb cycling or like, is that even healthy? Because I feel like they're doing it. It's like, I mean, I guess everyone's going to be different and the reasons why they're doing stuff is different. But I think when they're posting it on the internet and doing it as an example, like, look what you can do to like manipulate your body into like looking like this. Is that healthy?
So we're still talking about carbs, right? A little certain extent. So we're talking about how fitness influencers are like moving the like ketosis fad forward. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like these perfect like bodies where they're doing it for like bikini competitions. And
no, it's not healthy. And if you ask most people who have competed, it is extremely hard on the body and the brain. Like, it is, not only is it mentally straining, but it's not healthy to deprive yourself. And here's another problem. So I had this client, she just wasn't paying attention to her diet like I wanted her to, and I told her, like, you're gonna have to crash diet in order to even be eligible or be like comfortable being on stage. That means you're gonna have to cut out all of your food and like drop all the calories, and like you're gonna be fucking miserable like weeks leading up to this if you don't, you know, concentrate on your diet like months in advance. And she didn't listen to me at all, so she had to do the fucking crazy crash diet, and it worked, but she was fucking miserable. And now fast forward to now, she's gained a lot of weight, you know, and I think that show fucked her. I think it fucked her up. I think it fucked her head up. I think it fucked like with her, I mean, just her ability to stay on a diet. And she could tell you, I think it's had profound effects on how she looks now. Just one show. Imagine doing like fucking 20 shows.
There's a fitness influencer that's in, what is it, IB something, the bikini competition. And literally just the other day I went and like looked at her page because she like, her body's like banging, right? Well, she like wasn't on social media for like 6 months. And then she posted this post that was like, she gained weight, so she just looked normal, and she got into this really deep state of depression because like you're doing that stuff for the likes. It's like, yeah, you can manipulate your body to look like that, but then like you said, you're just going to go back to like a normal state, and then not feel like you're getting as much attention or that you look as good as.
She's a sweet girl. She's definitely struggling to get the weight back off, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it's her workouts or anything. It's like a mental thing. I don't think she's able to break that barrier and get back into the training.
So when I was in college, my like get me through college job was I worked at MAC Cosmetics. And so like there's a very select few people that I did PR with when I first moved here that like knew that I was a makeup artist. And so one of them was a girl that was doing a bikini competition. So she asked me to do her and one of her like fellow athletes like makeup for this bikini competition, which I don't like doing, but she was a homie, so I did it. And I like went to whatever, like the Orleans, I think it was at. So I'm in the hotel room doing their makeup, and I know this girl. You've trained her before. I'm not going to say her name. And she is a very intelligent, like level-headed person all the time. And when I'm doing her makeup, she first of all started falling asleep when I was doing her makeup.
Oh no.
But it was like, she was like passing out. Like her blood sugar was so low because she wasn't eating. And they make you, there's some sort of like, it's not a supplement, isn't it like a powder, and it pulls it dehydrates you so that you look more cut on stage.
Right.
So like, then when she kind of like comes back to, I'm like, cause I'm this close from her face. I'm like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, you know, it sounds really good right now. And she's like kind of in and out. She said a fig Newton.
A fig Newton?
Yeah.
Fig Newtons are delicious.
She just wanted a fig Newton.
They're delicious.
But it's because she like probably didn't have any. And I'm like, have you eaten today? And she's like, I was able to have like a half tablespoon of peanut butter or something. It's like,
so
I'm like,
also
this is fucking insane. Like this could be considered how is this not, see, this is where I have to be careful, but I have to say it. How is that not body dysmorphia?
It is. It is fucking body dysmorphia.
This is just, and then
everybody has a smidge of body dysmorphia.
Totally, everybody, but people are following them and looking up to them, and it's like what you're doing
aren't even real. Look at this guy.
Right.
I'm gonna shout him out. Is Goob 2.0.
Fucking Goob.
This guy is awesome. So he basically calls out everybody who photoshops their photos. And these women, there's like the Kardashians, I think it's Kim Kardashian, one of the Kardashians, and he basically calls them out, and he knows how to identify how they're photoshopping their photos. And I think his point is he's basically exploiting these people that are reaping the benefits off the fitness industry, but they're showing someone that's not them. Like,
what about for instance, when people get like breast implants, well, that's not like, I know a pec is a muscle, but you're not getting a breast implant to like make it look like you have bigger muscles. It's like you want to feel more feminine.
Yeah.
I think that fitness influencers who make money off of fitness and have BBLs or ass implants or whatever it is, I feel like they should be required to put a disclaimer that they have had that surgery, because it is not attainable.
Yeah.
And literally the majority of people don't know that you can get like your own fat injected from other parts of your body and have it injected into your ass. You don't even see an implant. Like, that's not fucking fair.
No, and look, I don't have any problem. I have clients who have BBLs, and I love them to death. They're amazing people. They're like sisters to me.
I would never nothing to be said about someone's personality.
I would never criticize somebody it's their body. Like, I have tattoos.
Right.
I work out. I lift weights. That's a form of like body,
manipulation. Totally.
So
good comparison.
I'm not judging anybody here, but maybe there is like a point to what you're saying. Like, maybe, especially like these young girls who are watching these influencers, maybe there should be a disclaimer, and be like, hey, I didn't get this the old fashioned way. I bought it, but I don't know. That's an interesting point.
I mean, just for instance, like I have a beauty highlight reel, like, or people are like, what makeup do you use? I'm like, this is not makeup. This is neurotoxins that I get injected into my face.
That's tight,
because I do feel like I have a moral and social responsibility to let people know that, like, if I didn't get this, I probably would look my age. Like, these days, everyone's going to walk around looking like a vampire.
You look like me.
They're going to, well, you guys can grow facial hair, and like don't even get me started. Men get more attractive when they age. Like, it makes them look more mature when they have like
Here's the hot button
wrinkles.
issue. How much money do you spend?
I fucking hate you. I'll do it. I don't care.
Okay, on your looks, your nails, your eyebrows, your eyelashes, your tan, your hair. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to really add it up? Yeah, you might be here for a second. But I can just rattle. I'll rattle them off really quick. Okay.
So my eyelashes are $70 every 3 weeks.
Oh my God. Well, okay.
And my nails are $60 every 3 weeks.
Are these like top of the line? I know you, so I'm assuming you're going to like the best person in town.
I mean, it's just people that I've I've cultivated a good relationship with, and I know they do good work. But I don't think that. Yeah, I'm not going to go to somebody just because they're expensive.
Like $200.
Yeah, shh, Emerald, cover your ears. And what else did you say? My hair, like I only get like colored and extensions. And by the way, like I think that the universe served me with a case of alopecia areata, which is stress-induced hair loss, because I used to, like, my hair was my thing. Like a lot of my identity was tied to my hair, and I would like kind of talk down on girls that had extensions. Like if I was talking to guys, I'm like, ew, how do you even like run your fingers through their hair? I was a total bitch about like people who had fake hair. And then I got diagnosed with alopecia areata, stress-induced hair loss. My hair is literally falling out of my head. It's like I am...
Welcome to manhood.
For real. But I mean, because our femininity is tied to like our hair a lot of times. So literally I was devastated. It affected my mental health for a long time. And finally I was just like, I am gonna have to get extensions. Okay. And so...
You bring up a good point. Yeah. How unfair is it for bald men?
You can get hair plugs.
So women can put wigs on. They can get extensions. One man gets a wig. He's like, who the fuck is this guy? Get him out of here.
Listen, we also represent a med spa. You can do PRP injections where they like spin and then it helps your scalp grow. Like I feel for men that have like male pattern baldness.
And they're ostracized from the community. Like if you see a guy with a wig, you're like, dude, I don't like that guy.
I mean, I'm just saying that. Well, no one needs a wig. There's hot bald men though.
Yeah, but they're very self-conscious about their hair.
Okay, so where was I? My injections.
So you got...
And now here we go with the really expensive shit.
Okay.
Botox every 3 months. I think it's like $450-$500.
Holy shit.
Every 3 months. And that's not even a lot. Like I don't get a ton of Botox. It's just an expensive thing. Fillers, I haven't talked about this publicly, but I'm going to get my lip filler dissolved.
Would I notice a difference?
Yes.
I would.
You will.
Have you ever heard of the acronym DSL?
Yeah. Dick sucking lips.
Is that what you want?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I just feel like I've looked at myself and I'm starting to not look like myself. And if I had to take one thing off the table for what really made the biggest difference, it was my lips. And like, I just want to reset. I've been doing them for like 5 years and I just want to see.
You know what's funny, Meg? If you thought of yourself the way I look at you.
Don't make me fucking cry on this podcast.
You would not do all this stuff.
I know. And I think you're right. And I think that like being in Vegas has made those things okay. So when I'm traveling to other countries, no one looks like this, you know? And I'm like, this is also a form of body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
I'm not just calling people out who like get BBLs or like, you know, manipulate their body with like extreme diets. Like definitely injecting yourself to, you know, make yourself feel more confident, which everyone should do whatever they want. But I do want to just, I need for my own personal sanity to reset myself. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do.
Right. And look, there's nothing wrong with any of this. And I'm not pointing any judgment on it. It's just to prove a point, you know, like we all have a form of body dysmorphia. Some of us struggle with it more than others, you know, and I would say the people who are the most beautiful probably struggle with it more than people think.
That's right. That's
a lot more than people think, you know.
Do you have body dysmorphia?
I go through weeks where I don't look at myself in the mirror sometimes because I'm so busy. I really don't. And the only problem I have right now is for 3 years I was under 5% body fat, and then I had my heart failure, and then I was taking some TRT at the time, and then my cardiologist told me to take off of it. So my body is.
What's TRT?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
You can have some of my testosterone.
I've never been crazy about anabolics. Like I've always just been the bare minimum, done the bare minimum. But my cardiologist really wanted me to get off of them, so I did. And so my body doesn't look exactly like it used to. And I'm also in season right now in rugby, so I have to hold on to some more water, or I get injured really easy. I remember playing rugby at 4% body fat and just getting injured so much because I just didn't have excess water and excess weight on me. So I'm a lot healthier playing rugby when I'm a little bit fatter, you know, like, and I'm talking.
Don't say fatter, like.
But I'm being literal. I'm being literal. From 4% to 10% is a big difference for me. So maybe I'm a little bit more conscious of it, you know, but not as much. I don't have body dysmorphia, not as much as most people, because I'm just so active. And that's something that people need to understand. If they're not happy with the way their body looks, they need to move it. They need to move their body more. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Just walk every day. And that's the biggest thing that I've been trying to teach my clients recently is don't have to do a crazy amount of work, you know, just do a little bit more every day. That's like 1% more every day. So I start them off with 20 minutes of walking. Like if I have a really heavy client, you know, I love heavy clients, like, and I mean heavy respectfully, and no disrespect to anybody, but some people let themselves go, and it can happen for a myriad of reasons, you know, like family members die, or, you know, they I don't know, they work too much, or maybe
like literal life, just reality things that happen to everyone.
And then people get heavy, and I'm being objective. Like if you're overweight, you're fucking overweight. It's okay. Like there's a lot of people overweight. But if you come to me and you try to change it, the first thing I ask you to do is just walk 20 minutes on Monday, and then on Tuesday walk 22 minutes, or 21, then 23, then 24. Like every day, just add a fucking minute, just 1 minute, and that tends to work. It gets people moving, you know. Just having them do the bare minimum and doing a little bit better every day typically works, because over time they'll be working a shit ton and just dropping a ton of weight, and it works. It really does work. Yeah,
when I can't come to the gym to see you, I do my 30-minute like P90X3 exercises, and then I walk Xena for 30 minutes. So I just make sure I'm always moving an hour every single day, even if it's like our Sunday hike days and it's just like active rest and recovery.
The walking is also probably what's helping you out a lot, is the walking Xena.
Well, you know what really helped me out was, and this is like, I do want to talk about this. When I was training with you and I'm like, I feel like I'm lifting too heavy because I'm gaining weight. Remember how upset I was getting? Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I told you this. I went and got my blood work And
You did tell me this.
she was like, at Evolve Whole Health and Fitness, they're great. And she's like, how long have you been taking this spironolactone? And it's like, it's a hormone. What it is a prescription strength water pill, but it's used to balance testosterone levels because I have high testosterone. Go fucking figure. And she's like, let me just see what happens when you get off of that. And so like, I think I stopped taking it for 2 months and I just dropped like 15 pounds, which is, I'm 5'2". And so like, that's a lot.
So your body was just basically, I guess
I weighed 145 when I was complaining, and remember I was so frustrated. I was like, I don't eat like shit. I'm eating healthy. Like I'm getting enough calories. Like you and I were trying to break this down, and I'm like, it's got to be the weight training. I was blaming everything on the weight training, and it wasn't. It was like this. It was. I was diagnosed with alopecia areata, and so that's why I was taking that, because testosterone can make you lose your hair.
Right.
So when my hair was falling,
looks pretty. Like,
well,
you can't even
I have
notice
extensions.
Oh,
No.
okay. I thought about getting extensions in my mullet. I really did.
Still really upset that you cut your mullet.
Yeah, it's like 50-50 right now.
What is your max back squat? And like, just do some stats for the people.
See, this is tough because in season I have to do maintenance lifting. So my strength training just goes to shit.
What's your like PR?
sucks.
Say your PRs.
I've done, I think it was 635, somewhere around there. I think at the time I could have done
back squat.
I think at the time I could have done 655, but in the grand scheme of things, this is not a lot. It's not. There are people who are lifting absurd amount of weight out there. You know, I don't think I lift a crazy amount. My deadlift has suffered a lot. I can definitely deadlift over 600 pounds, but I just think it sucks playing rugby in season, because if I do a lot of strength training, then I get injured. I get injured really easy. So right now, I just the highest I got up to like 535 recently. That was about it. I can't do much more than that.
I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot.
It's not compared to a lot of other people.
Who are you comparing it to?
Powerlifters and stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, you absolute psycho. I do have to ask, because we've covered most of the like ask the audience questions I posted, but what is your favorite protein powder?
So I love this protein called the Whole Beast. It's a nose to tail protein called from this company, The Fittest Ever. They're amazing, and it's basically like desiccated organ meat. Like heart, pancreas, spleen, beef protein. It sounds gross, but it's extremely healthy for you. It's extremely nutrient dense. The macros on it are amazing. There's no sugar in it. Yeah, it's called the Fittest Ever Whole Beast. It's really good, and the chocolate flavor is amazing. It's really good.
Okay, next one. When you've dated women, we're going to segue. Do you find that jealousy is an issue, since you train like mostly like females and a lot of hot females?
It depends on the girl, you know. Like, I guess I can talk about this. I dated Amber recently, and she didn't have a problem with it, but she's also like on OnlyFans and stuff too. So if she would had a problem with it, that'd be kind of like what's the word, like hypocritical. Yeah.
So what do you do if someone has a problem with that?
Just don't bring it up. I just don't talk about it.
I like how you're texting. You can't help it, because you post everything, and so like
my ex had an issue with it, you know, and we just never talked about it. She got extremely insecure about you a lot.
What?
If I just ever brought your name up, or any girl's name up, or even a gay guy's name up, it would just create this atmosphere of like, okay, I'm just gonna change the subject. Let's change the subject. Let's talk about something else really quick.
That's called being avoidant, and that's a totally different.
It doesn't work. We're not together anymore.
I'm gonna sick Jamie on your ass and have her talk to you about how being avoidant in a relationship's not good.
She has the best little gems, like, and she'll put me in my place sometimes. Like,
yeah. So Seth trains she's beautiful, but she's an influencer, and she's also a therapist. Psychologist, psychiatrist. But anyway, so
she's amazing. She's actually her foot's injured right now. I think she's gonna come back next week. Liam's doing a show, so he wants to come squat. But I love
these are the people that like Seth trains, and then also her boyfriend is in Thunder from Down Under. So they're like the hottest couple alive.
Liam is the best. Liam is this giant teddy bear, and you would never expect him to be super sensitive and just like, I don't know. He's a great guy. Yeah. I love Liam.
You definitely have a wide breadth of clientele?
So yeah, that's a question I thought I was going to get asked because I just looked at it. I have 122 clients I see on a weekly basis.
Jesus.
And a total is around, so some clients I don't see every week. Sometimes I don't see them every month. That's around like 160, 68 clients. And some weeks are harder than others. And, I have a group of private clients that I see regularly. And then I have a group of people that I see at the same hour every day. And then some people I just see casually once in a while. Like, you're super busy, you can't come in all the time.
But I also am disciplined on my own. Like, I think it depends on people's like skill set.
Let's be honest, Meg, you don't need a trainer. You don't. You're disciplined enough.
But I love you, and that's why I want to come in and work out. No, but I can't, I wouldn't even know that I was capable of like back squatting as much as I can back squat because it's not, there's things you say, time under tension, which is like where you go down slow and like fast. But what is it when you stack weight? Progressive overloading. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't know that I'm capable of back squatting 300 pounds if I didn't have a trainer. So like, to me, there is like the athlete in me like appreciates that part of it. Otherwise I just keep doing my P90X cardio stuff and I wouldn't be building muscle.
And I had a coach. I still consider him my coach. His name's Landon Castroverde. He's kind of the black sheep in the Castroverde family. I don't know if you guys know the Castroverde family. They're a bunch of lawyers.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's the one guy in his family that's like, no, I'm gonna be a trainer. I don't want to be an attorney. And he kills it at it. He's so good at it. He's one of my favorite people. I love Landon. If you're listening, Landon, I love you. He's my strength coach, and he's taught me a lot of stuff. And he's younger than me.
That's cool.
He has basically helped me identify the best ways to get somebody to perform optimally every session.
Like, what do you think is the most like overall beneficial?
For rugby, for me, it's squatting. I think that's the most trends.
Because you got to be quick. Like, you got to take off quick. Right?
Yeah, it helps with a lot of stuff in rugby. I think it translates the most on the field for me. Is that. I think a lot of people would say like any hip hinge movement or posterior chain movement, back extensions are really important for rugby. Just overall speed and strength, you get a lot from doing any lower body workout. But they have a saying, you build the posterior chain, build the athlete, and it's really true. If you build your glutes, you can get really good at any sport. And my glutes are pretty
got
great.
Some cakes.
Yeah, that's what the guys on the team. We do these stretches on the team.
Oh God, it's like full moon probably when you bend over and touch your toe.
I haven't bought a new pair of shorts in a while, so.
What does that mean? Your butt's growing and your shorts aren't?
I'm wearing still like larges that I had from 7 years ago that are like barely able to fit. I need to get some new shorts.
Do you have a favorite like fitness story or favorite like person that you've trained, or like what makes you like want to, if you train this many people, what makes you want to go to the gym and train every day?
I love Alex Volkanovski. Right now he's the featherweight champ of the world, the UFC fighter, and he used to play rugby, so we had that in common. And when he came in to train, he was just such an amazing guy, like very infectious. Like, we got along really well, and I've just been following his career ever since. And like, I would say we're friends now, like I see him when he comes into town, and like getting to train him was like a huge moment in my life. I also got to train Leon Edwards. That was really cool. And my buddy Sammy Michelli, he kind of set all this up because those are his clients. But they are world champions. They're world champion athletes, and just to like be in the same room with them it's inspiring. And that was really cool. And I'd say those are like some big moments for me.
I mean, you definitely earned that though, like people I think seek you out because you train people like that, and then like the results that you have in my opinion like speak for themselves.
And the transformations, they're a huge. So this girl, Casey, that I trained, she had been trying to deadlift fucking 200 pounds for over a year, and she could not get it. And she's really strong too. That's like surprising to the point where like I couldn't get it. Like, even me, I was questioning myself as a coach. I was like, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know why she can't get it. And I thought maybe like there might have been a mental barrier that she needed to get through or something, And Casey's so strong, and she's such a beautiful girl. But tried for over a year and a half to hit this weight, and she couldn't, and she couldn't, and she couldn't, and she couldn't. And then one day she fucking does it, and she is bawling her eyes out. And it's such a good moment, dude. And I start crying, and like, it was just a really big moment, you know? And those are the moments that I live for, really.
I think that's why people like going to you, because you sometimes are more excited about things than like your athletes are, or you're at least celebrating like with them. Like, the video of like me back squatting 300 pounds and like you were literally jumping up and down like a little kid.
Yeah. It's exciting for me because I see that you guys are getting better and better and better at something. And it's like, this is why I do this, you know, this is why I don't want to be a CEO for a fucking sports nutrition food company. I don't know if my all the former partners are going to listen to this. I love those guys, but it wasn't for me, man, being in an office and being a CEO of sales and just like having them breathe down my necks on like, well, we haven't made this much money this year, and like we can't like pay you because we're not making enough money. Like, it's just fucking stressful, man. Like, we can't come to terms with giving you a salary because we're only making a certain amount of money. And like at that time I was just like, fuck. And the market was so saturated. Let me explain about this. I was a part of a company called Source One Nutrition, and this is because I started a company back in the day that did really well, and I got out of it and I started another company with these guys at One NutriShop, Brian and Brian, and I think it did really well until we exhausted all of our resources, and like we had put the bars, there were protein bars, we put them in the market and they didn't really succeed as well as we thought they would. So we made cookies and then they didn't necessarily succeed. So we're just barely hanging by, you know. The only reason I think we were succeeding is because we put all of our products in their stores. And at the time I was just like, I don't know, like really jaded by the fitness industry and the sports nutrition food industry. And then just going to that office and just like hating what I do. Like, I don't know, I had nothing against those guys. It's their career, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't. And I dreaded being at that place. You know?
There's also, to me now, there's like other ways to quantify your success. Like monetary is like only one way. And when you're in a product business like that, that's basically the only thing that you have to quantify. But now that you're like a fitness trainer, you have like people's like results and their attitudes and their, you know, that also quantifies your success.
I thought it's what I wanted because it's such a lucrative thing to be like a young entrepreneur, like for a big company like that. But it wasn't. I was miserable. I was, you know, and I guess training has been so fulfilling, you know. It's so rewarding to me. Like, I get to do something I fucking love, and I feel like I'm just built for it, you know. I enjoy going to work every day, even though it's fucking 6 a.m. Connor, you piece of shit. I love you.
That's your 6 a.m.
Yeah.
How do you feel about training me when I'm on my period?
Oh, you guys are always on your period. And you guys tell me right when you get there, I'm on my period.
No, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't tell you, and you find out really quick.
Oh, when you're crying.
I feel like you're the only person who's allowed to be like, "Are you on your period?" Because if like someone else who's not training me says
God
that,
forbid.
I'll kill you. But like when you say it, it just makes me cry harder. I'm like, yeah, but that's not why I'm crying. But it is why I'm crying.
I always say this to the girls. I say I've gotten really good at perfecting the art of ignoring your woman's complaints.
No, sometimes we get into it. Sometimes I feel like, and then we have to like take a little breather, and sometimes we'll text like we're in a relationship. I'm like, I'm really sorry for doing that. And you're like, me too. I could have handled that better. I'm like, me too.
Well, I think it's because we're super passionate people.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're both stubborn.
Yeah, definitely.
But I wouldn't change it at all.
I maybe change you a little. Just kidding.
But you want my mullet back?
That is exactly what I was going to say.
How many people commented on my mullet every time I posted videos of you?
All the time. Really? Are you kidding me? They're like, that guy is so rad. Oh my God, his mullet. And then of course, like the number one thing, which we also talked about off air, but I'm going to end our little segment here with this. I always ask on Instagram, like, what do you want to hear? And I think I was like, from the zaddiest trainer in Vegas. And there was a bunch of people that were like, have you guys banged yet? Or like, how come you guys haven't
so
banged?
Much. I just had a client the other day. She pulled me aside pulled me aside at the beginning of their workout, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to talk to you about something." I'm like, "Okay." And it's a girl that I absolutely adore. I'm not going to name her name, but she was like, "Why don't you hook up with Meg? Like, you guys would be fucking perfect for each other." I was like, "You're like one of 50 of my clients that have asked me this, and I don't know why it hasn't happened on paper." On paper, I feel like it fucking would work.
But is that why? Like, why do people think that? Did they just see like two fit people who are like successful, and they're like, you guys should definitely be a thing?
Well, I know something that always happens with you with guys is they get insecure about your success.
Totally.
Right?
Every single time.
And then what ends up happening is like you fall out of love with them because their insecurities just blow up, and you start seeing them in a different light, right?
Yeah, I become
and
resentful.
they weren't like the flirty, like I'm confident guy that you originally met.
You're nailing it.
Right.
Yep.
So with me, it's like I already have my career. I love what I do, and I love your career too. And I would never be insecure about you being more successful than me or anything like that.
Also, putting a woman in their place that's like more successful or as successful as you is a very fucking fine line.
Right.
And I feel like you have, in order to establish that respect in the relationship, you kind of have to be friends first, because otherwise if someone comes at me, I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to me like that? But sometimes, like, even if we get at it, like at each other's throats in the gym, I'll be like, you know, it makes me kind of like step back and think, I'm like, damn, I should probably apologize for being a bitch. Which is like not typical. My ex-boyfriends are gonna like hear this and be like, that's all I wanted her to do was apologize for being a bitch. I'm like, that? No, you don't get it, but my trainer does.
Well, you're self-aware, and that's hard to find in this fucking town.
I'm so self-aware that it's like keeps me up at night. It sucks. You know, like I'm so aware of like things that I didn't do right, or things I could have done better, or I don't know.
So what do you mean? Like what things? Like the day-to-day things, or like things haunting you from your past? What do you mean? What things keep you up?
Maybe it's like a little bit of all of that. Like I think about things that definitely happen on a day-to-day basis, but definitely like macro. I'm like, this is a recurring pattern in my life, and I can't keep saying that like it's in my relationship specifically, even with like other people, the way that we're like engaging or interacting.
Right.
Like, for instance, I feel like I have to be, it is not my like id or my personality to be super flowery and happy and nice to people. I think I am that way once I get to know you, but like at first it's like it almost like takes a lot of energy out of me or something. I'm a very concise person. I'm very direct and to the point, which like if people don't know me and there is an intimidation factor there, which I'm aware of because I've heard it so much, I have to overcompensate and be super nice and almost a way that's not me in order to make other people feel comfortable.
So it's a performance.
Yeah.
And you feel bad about putting on a performance?
Yeah, it's annoying. I'm like, why can't I just be myself and don't get your feelings hurt? Like,
well, everyone does it. Look,
I appreciate people who are like direct and concise, to be honest. Like I really like get along with people who are like that.
It's once you get older, you start appreciating that more. But when you're younger, you're like, who the fuck is this asshole? And then once you get older, you're like, you respect it a lot more.
Or if like I don't say yes to somebody wanting to hang out, then like I'm labeled as a bitch. I've talked about that before.
Bad about it.
Yeah. So like it's a lot of guilt. I have a lot of guilt. That's the kind of stuff that I think about. Or like,
well, you have to understand when you get older, your group of friends, it goes down because you're becoming more selfish, you know?
Yeah, like I love to just be alone.
Fuck yeah. I love it, dude. I remember I bailed on you and I sent you $200 or something.
Yeah, you did. And I bought a round of drinks for everyone, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
But even like, remember on Super Bowl, because I was like sideways from like waste management, I was like, because I had to go to sleep. Like that flight was, even though it was like 45 minutes, it was like
I felt bad for
I was awful.
Yeah.
But when you were like, well, I'm not going to go to like this party anymore because you're not going, and if you like want company, and I was thinking to myself, if there's one person that I could like be alone with, like, and still feel like I'm getting some time by myself, it's Seth, because I feel like you would just sit on the other end of the couch and fuck off, but we'd still be like hanging out. You know?
I felt bad. I've gone to the waste management fucking thing before, and I've had
never doing that again.
Dude, it's insane.
That is another.
Why do people subject themselves? They just drink all fucking day in the sun.
That's
like
another
crazy.
example of a time where I felt like, because all my girlfriends are like, it's so much fun, you have to go, and like it's like if I were to die without have gone going to waste management. I would never think to myself, wish I could have gone to waste management.
Dude.
So instead, like, I gave into that because I started to feel guilty because I'm saying no to my girlfriends. It's just not my idea of fun, and I just proved it to myself. Let me explain.
I mean, it's named after a fucking trash company.
Totally.
Like,
I wake up the next morning and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what happened. I don't know where I was. And my girlfriend's like next to me in bed, and she was like, you were so much fun last night. So I was like, oh no, what did I do? And I'm like going through our text messages, and one of my girlfriends like sent to the group chat, can someone please come get Megan? She's being a real handful.
Like she fucked Tiger Woods.
I said, what did I do? And Jamie goes, for starters, you were arm wrestling everybody who would arm wrestle you at 3:30 in the morning.
I can see that. You probably
I've never
squatted
done
a guy.
Yeah,
You
I probably was like, just get on my back. Just get on my back. I can take it.
I got it. Well, I mean, the last time I went, dude, I had the same feeling. I'm flying back. I was like miserable.
No,
I hated it.
I can't be hungover.
I'm never going back there again.
Me neither.
I don't think I'm going to go back to Miami again.
We should just hang out together next waste management and like work out.
I like Scottsdale though. So my rugby league we have a lot of Arizona teams, the Arizona League. So I have to go there tomorrow to play a game in the morning. So I'm there a lot. I don't mind it. I don't mind Scottsdale. I don't mind Phoenix.
Well, that's my only experience I've ever had in Scottsdale. So maybe I'll just give it another go. But we got to wrap this up. You have people to train.
Jamie
I got to go to Carver State.
Is actually at the gym.
Waiting for you?
Yeah. Well, no. I told her 3. So.
Oh my God. What time is it?
Hopefully she hears this.
We talked for a long time.
We did. It was great. I had fun.
Okay. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Malta Fitness is at 6675 South Tenaya Way. It's near Rainbow and the 215.
And your
so
Instagram,
Southwest.
so people can check out them cakes.
Yeah. And if you need any help with nutrition or anything, you can DM me. Seth Lagana and Instagram. I usually try to get to everybody, even if it's for free. I'll try to help anybody with their questions that they have.
You say your last name like a Texan, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, my grandma.
I'm gonna stop saying Lagana. Lagana.
Lagana.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.